Good day, everyone. My name is Sophie Bass. We are going to continue with our English lesson. The last time we met, we were discussing types of pronouns. And the ones we discussed are possessive pronouns and reflexive pronouns. Possessive pronouns are what? Mine, has, his, theirs, ours, yours. And we also talk about the reflexive pronouns. And they are myself, herself, himself, itself, themselves, ourselves, yourselves. To continue from there, we are going to look at another type of pronouns, and that is relative pronouns. Relative pronouns. But before we go on to that, let's come to the review of the homework that was given. The homework was change the following pronouns to possessive case. Change the following pronouns to possessive case. We say I. To possessive case, it is mine. You, yours. They, theirs. Her, she, hers. We, ours. It, its. He, his. And that is the correction for the homework. You can compare your answers with mine. Let's go back to today's topic, and that is relative pronouns. In this lesson, we are going to look at the use of words such as who, whom, whose, which, and that. Let me read again. I say for today's lesson, we are going to look at the use of words such as who, whom, whose, which, and that. Where and why do we use them? Where and why do we use them? Suppose someone asks you, what is a relative pronoun? You say, it depends. A relative pronoun is used after a noun to make it clear which person or thing we are talking about. Therefore, why and where we use them have been answered. What did I say? A relative pronoun is used after a noun to make it clear which person or thing we are talking about. You are going to learn more as the lesson continues. And where do we use them? We say after a noun. And why do we use them? To make it clear which person or thing we are talking about. Then what are relative pronouns then? They are whom, whose, which, and that. Those are the relative pronouns. They are whom, whose, which, and that. We use them in asking questions as well, or sole possessor of a thing, and they can also join two parts of a sentence. Let's continue of examples of these relative pronouns in sentences. First, let's look at them in their context. Relative pronouns are used in different contexts. Example, who, whose, and whom are used with people, which is used with animals, plants, and things. That is used with people, animals, plants, and things. Let me emphasize that again. Relative pronouns are used in different contexts. Example, who, whose, whom are used with what? People. Which is used with animals, plants, and things. That is used with people, animals, plants, and things. Now we are going to look at few examples of these, or the use of relative pronouns in questions or sentences. First, let's look at who, whose, and whom in sentences. Who? I read the question. Who is that girl sitting inside the classroom? Who is used here in a question form. Who is that girl sitting inside the classroom? You could answer and say, it is Fatu. It's a question that is asked. And you can also use it in a sentence form, saying, Musa is a boy who learns fast. It's in a sentence form here. Musa is a boy who learns fast. And we are still using what? The relative pronoun who. Now let's go to whom did you see at the vendors? Somebody could answer and say, I saw Auntie Ida. Whom is used in a question form here. And it can also be used in sentences like, she is a pupil whom I taught. She is a pupil whom I taught. And let's move to whose. Somebody may ask, whose ruler is this? And if the person or somebody wants to answer who owns the ruler, the person can say it is Mary's. With whose again, in a sentence form, this is the man whose bag was lost. This is the man whose bag was lost. And that is all for who, whom, and whose. Now let's move to another relative pronoun, and that is which. We use which with animals, as I said earlier on, plants and things. Let's look at examples with the use of these pronouns. Which tree did you grow in your garden? Which tree did you grow in your garden? And that is in a question form. I can say, I grew a mango tree. I grew a mango tree. Another sentence, this is the dog which bit the girl. This is the dog which bit the girl. We move. The book which you are holding belongs to Fanta. We say we use them with animals, plants, and things. So, which tree did you grow in your garden? With what? Plants. This is the dog which bit the girl. That is with animals, things. The book which you are holding belongs to Fanta. And that is all for these relative pronouns. And now we move to that. That it could be used in different contexts with people, animals, plants, and things. I said that could be used in different contexts with people, animals, plants, and things. The gentleman that I drive with to Banjul is a doctor. The gentleman that I travel with to Banjul is a doctor. The gentleman that I travel with to Banjul is a doctor. And that is one example of what? The use of that. The hyena that attacked the goats was killed by the dogs. The hyena that attacked the goats was killed by the dogs. This is the house that Uncle Sam built. This is the house that Uncle Sam built. These are some of the examples that you could use with the relative pronoun that. We say whom, whose, and who are used with what? People. Which are used with what? Thing. Activity 1. Choose who or which to complete the sentences. In this particular activity, we are only taking 2 relative pronouns here, or pronouns, and that is who or which to complete the sentences. And 1, I read. Dictionaries are books that give the meanings of words. Dictionaries are thus give the meanings of words. And we have which or who. Which one is correct here? We take which for what? Things. Dictionaries are books which give the meanings of words. The correct answer, we say which. Let's put it in the blank space and listen. Dictionaries are books which give the meanings of words. Number 2. The peoples that had taken the books and put them in the box. And put them in the box. The peoples had taken the books, put them in the box. The peoples that had taken the books, put them in the box. Which, who, again. The peoples that had taken the books, put them in the box. The peoples. Person, we take what? Who. The peoples who had taken the books, put them in the box. The peoples who had taken the books, put them in the box. Let's move to 3. She has a friend that works at another school. She has a friend that works at another school. Which, who, we choose one, which or who. Let me read the sentence again. She has a friend that's which who works at another school. This Friend is a person here. So therefore we take which pronoun? Who. Which? Things. Who? People. She has a friend who works at another school. Who is the correct one here? 4. The pupils return the books they had taken. The pupils return the books that they had taken. Which? Who? So now, which? Who? Here, the pupils return the books which the pupils return the books that they had taken. Which? Who? Here, books are what? It is human. No. Thing. So therefore, we take what? Which. We say relative pronoun which go with things. The pupils return the books which they had taken. 5. Nobody likes that steal books. Nobody likes people that steal books. Nobody likes people that steal books. Which? Who? Which? Who? Nobody likes people which steal books. Nobody likes people who steal books. So the correct one here is what? Who? Referring to people here. So we say nobody likes people who steal books. We move to our next activity. In this one, we are using only 2 relative pronouns, that is which and who. But in the next activity, we are going to use all of them, that is use who, whose, whom, which, or that to complete the following. We start with 2. Now we are trying to blend all of them to complete the sentences. We use them. Remember, who, whose, whom. The most important people, that is people. Thing here is people. Which, thing, that can be used in all the contexts. Let's start. 1. We saw a man that can ride one-wheel bicycle. We saw a man that can ride one-wheeled bicycle. Who, whose, whom, which, and that. Which one can we put here to fill in the blank space in number 1? We saw a man who can ride one-wheel bicycle. We saw a man who can ride one-wheel bicycle. And number 2, I read, I said to give me the book that she bought from the bookshop. I said to give me the book that she bought from the bookshop. Number 2, I said to give me the book that she bought from the bookshop. I said to give me the book that she bought from the bookshop. What can we put here? Who, whose, whom, which, or that. For the first activity, we were using only two relative pronouns, that is who and which. But for this particular activity, we are going to try to use all of them, that is who, whose, whom, which, or that, to complete the following. Let's try number 1. We saw a man that can ride one-wheel bicycle. We saw a man who, whose, whom, which, or that. We take what? Who can ride one-wheel bicycle? 2. Isadora gives me the book that she bought from the bookshop. Isadora gives me the book that she bought from the bookshop. Which? Isadora gives me the book which she bought from the bookshop. And 3. What is 3? Das is selling these mangoes. Das is selling these mangoes. What can we use here? Which of the relative pronouns can we use here, or pronoun can we use here? We can take who, and I read, who is selling these mangoes? Who is selling these mangoes? And we move to number 4. For that of the 2 books is yours. That of the 2 books is yours. What can we use here? Which of the relative pronoun? We take which. Which of the 2 books is yours? And 5. The canoe that has nearly sunk in the river is now for sale. The canoe that has nearly sunk in the river is now for sale. The canoe that nearly sunk in the river is now for sale. The canoe that nearly sunk in the river is now for sale. And 6. We laugh at the boy that shirt was torn in the fight. We laugh at the boy that shirt was torn in the fight. We say 6 is whose. Whose shirt was torn in the fight. And 7, that was the man that we saw at the beach. That was the man that we saw at the beach. We say, that was the man whom. That was the man whom we saw at the beach. And that is all for that exercise. I read, we saw a man who can ride one-wheel bicycle. 2, Isadora gives me the book which she bought from the bookshop. 3, who is selling these mangoes? 4, which of the 2 books is yours? 5, the canoe that nearly sank in the river is now for sale. 6, we laughed at the boy whose shirt was torn in the fight. And 7, that was the man whom we saw at the beach. And that is our last activity for this exercise. But before I go, let's listen to this homework. The homework is simple. We are going to use the relative pronouns to make 3 good sentences. Only 3. Use the relative pronouns to make 3 good sentences. Here you are going to make sentence on your own. And let's recap. Relative pronouns are used in different contexts. We use who, whose, and whom are used with people, which is used with animals, plants, and things. That is used with people, animals, plants, and things. So put that at the back of your mind anytime you are dealing with or doing with the relative pronouns. Take note. Thanks so much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.